Moneyball is a 2011 movie following the story of Billy Bean and his magic pixie dream assistant Peter Brand. They are the managers of the early 2000s dumpster fire that is the Oakland A's baseball team. It is Bean's goal to turn them into a team worthy of the World Series. There is only one problem though. Major League Baseball is a money game, where the teams with the deepest pockets have free range of all of the best players.
Well, you know we're being gutted. We're losing Giambi, Damon, Isringhausen.
Causing the Oakland A's to be picked clean of their best players, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Guys, we're still trying to replace Giambi. I told you we can't do it.
That is, until Bean's manager Nymph devises a strategy, one that completely forgoes all tradition of baseball. They decide that baseball is indeed a money game, one where spending the most money on the best players with the best potential doesn't actually matter. They can forego all other factors, because all that matters is one statistic.
Because he gets on base.
And if Bean spends all his budget focused on maximizing this stat, then the Oakland A's can go on a 19-game winning streak, and potentially achieve Bean's dream of winning the World Series.
He throws to first, and that's the sound of 14 straight victories.
Let's skip over the ending of the movie for now. I swear it doesn't contain any information that causes this whole video to fall apart, but if you're wondering about the name of this bizarrely effective strategy, well, it's the same as the movie, Moneyball. And the name of the strategy I'll use to go from bronze all the way to Grand Master in TFT is Team Money Tactics. Here's a quick montage of what you're in for later. Hamer Jamers, I'm Hamer, and if you wanted to know the deets to this totally amazeball strategy, hold on, do people say that anymore? Amazeballs and deets? Did I just give people the ick? Anyway, skip to this time code or just click to the next chapter to get the summary. And hi to those who have stuck around. You may be wondering, what does baseball have it all in common with TFT? And the answer to that question is simple: the meta, which refers to any element of a sport that gives you a higher probability to win. In baseball, the meta would be 5-tool players. You know, those like Jason Gambini, Manny Ramirez, or Homer Simpson in Season 3, Episode 16 of The Simpsons, Homer at the bat. These are players that every association would fight tooth and nail to have. And that's where Sabermetrics, the actual name of the strategy, comes in and says, fuck the meta. Which is exactly the basis for my strategy of Team Money Tactics. Yes, I will say the full name every time, I think it's funny. But before we can take the meta by its bodacious love handles, we first have to figure out what the TFT meta even is. Which becomes pretty clear the higher you climb the ranked ladder, where you find more and more people fighting over the same comps and champions. Players that had heard through the grapevine that Cyberdick has a 50.001% win rate, and throw all of their gold into making sure they force that comp. The grapevine in this case being data aggregate sites like mobalytics.gg, which is a god-awful name for a website by the way. Also a pretty bad name for a vibrator company, if you wanted to know. If we are to imagine this in the framing of Moneyball, Mobalytics is the smoke-filled boardroom filled with a bunch of flat-nosed geezers.
I like
Bye.
He's got a classic swing. It's real clean stroke.
I don't know. Can't hit the curveball.
Well, there's some work to be done, I'll admit that,
Yeah, there is.
but he's noticeable.
Got an ugly girlfriend.
What's that mean?
Ugly girlfriend means no confidence.
Okay.
Oh no, you guys are full of it. Artie is right. This guy's got an attitude. An attitude is good. I mean, he's the kind of guy who walks into a room, his dick has already been there for 2 minutes. I can't eat that.
The geezers find the highest win rate heroes in team compositions, and fight over them like pigeons pecking at a rotten corpse in the subway. This is pretty clearly the meta of TFT, that changes with patches and set rotations, and it all seems pretty comprehensive, right? Out of all of these comps shown here, From the top of the chart to the bottom of the barrel, which do you think is our golden ticket to smash the meta? Time's up, and if your answer was any of them, then you'd be wrong. Because my goal isn't to break the meta with the meta. I'm not winning the local bake fair by bringing in Grandma's secret baked beans recipe, okay? I don't have a high enough Adderall dosage yet to compete with the best of the best. No, I want to win with a strategy no one else expected. That's right, the special ingredient to Grandma's baked beans is a fucking gun. Take a quick look at this tier list, and tell me the one thing that's missing. I would congratulate you for noticing, but if an idiot like me was able to notice, you'd have to be a few too Spanish short for toolshit not to realize. The one factor missing here is there is no 3-star, 4 or 5 cost champions, and that, my folks, is a gun. So then, let us try to guarantee a 3-star 4 cost champion every game, shall we? How hard could that be to figure out? Oh, sweet mother of God, or whatever the name of God is in the League universe. Well, you may be wondering now what makes a 3-star 4 cost champion, which I'll be calling a 3-4 champ from here on out, so special. Well, it's because of just how much more powerful they are compared to other 2 and 3 stars. Champions in TFT are usually double the strength of the cost before them, right? Using the rapid fire trait as an example, with Cogmore being our base, they can clear out a couple champions on its own. However, Twisted Fate is roughly worth 2 Cogmores, often strong enough to be your sole DPS for the mid game, whereas Draven is roughly double Twisted Fate's power, knocking out champs like Twisted Fate in one ability. That makes sense, right? Well, you see, this pseudo-linear scaling starts to fall apart when it comes to 4 cost, because depending on the 4 cost, a 2-star variant is already parallel with many free champs. And so, by that logic, your average 3-4 champ is 4 times the power of a 3-star 3-cost champion. Like, the scale of power is so absurd it's not even close. Like, look at this game. Did you notice the enemy had a board? Did you blink? Because they don't anymore. 20,000 damage in 1 round is some seriously insane shit. That's the kind of thing to make you come out in person for a baseball game, because you have the faint hope your team could actually win the World Series this year. Even though you try to distract yourself by working out and pumping iron in the gym, you couldn't stop yourself from going to. But if you think about the probability, it isn't actually that ludicrous if you follow the math. Here is the average cost of getting a 3-star of each champ cost, assuming all factors are the same, and no champ has left the shop yet. You'll notice that the gold for 1 to 3 cost champs scale only slightly, going from 113 gold to 188 to 247. Then we have 364 gold needed for a 3-4 champ. That's quite the pretty penny, and if you're curious, here's the average for a 3-5 champion. Which I have gotten before, by the way. It was during the first set I played the game. And no, I'm not humble bragging. I'm regular bragging. Do you like that voice? Because I hate it. I'm gonna stop doing this now. So of course, the reason why these 3 stars are so uncommon is because of how expensive they are, right? Well, first let me remind you of the montage from earlier. And secondly, let me break down why this isn't that tall of an order in the first place. Here's all the 4 costs laid out, with their busted ass 3-star abilities ranging from nuking the enemy's board to stunning everyone on the team for 8 seconds. Every 8 seconds. And I hope you broke out your pens and paper and are ready to write down which 4 cost you think is the most optimal to focus. Alright, do you have your answer? Is it, I'm doing the same bait and switch I did like 5 minutes ago? It was? Good. Because that means you're learning and breaking your shackles of being a meta slave. Therefore, I shouldn't have to tell you that the best 4 cost to 3-star is just the one no one else is going for in your match. It doesn't matter if it fits with your traits, or if it can counter someone else's build. As long as you can get your 3-4 champ without dying beforehand, that's all that matters. Getting on base.
What is it? What are we doing?
Because when we have the goal of making 364 gold, we kind of need all the cash we can spare, right? Follow me for a second as I outline the average TFT game, assuming you're not inting down bot lane anyway. Your average match lasts 30 rounds, 18 of which are player combats. It takes round about 11 rounds to reach the highest interest threshold of 5, which means we have collected 50 gold the 10 rounds prior, right? Then we add on the extra 10 gold we make from passive income and interest on the last 19 rounds. Gold isn't the only thing we earn, of course. We gain 2 passive EXP every round, meaning we will have collected 60 experience by the end of the game. And since EXP is 1-to-1 with gold, we can add on 60 gold to our final total. Finally, assuming you win exactly half of your player combats, you will earn 15 gold from win streaking, and 9 gold from victories. And before I tally up the final amount, I want to stress that these are averages, alright? The actual amount you can earn can vary wildly from game to game, right? Much like your auntie's saggy tits when she goes for a jog. So, with all of this gold added up together, we reach a grand total of 324 gold equivalent. I can't help but notice we're a couple hundred short there, huh? Wonder what that's about, huh? Because if we only make an average of 324 gold, how can we afford to freestar more than one free cost champ? Well, that's because this is just a raw data set that assumes a very conservative baseline. One where no one has bought any champions until you start rolling. I'll do the math on this in a bit, but you should be thoughtful of the fact everyone else has the same gold amount as you do, meaning there is an effective pool of 2,592 gold over the course of a match, all of which typically makes it easier for you to get what you want, right? There's also a second reason for our lack of gold, and that's the augment-shaped elephant in the room that's been standing with us this whole time. And if you didn't interrupt me so rudely, I would already be covering this by now. God. Augments add just that little extra layer of spice that makes calculating a gold average for them very hard. So hard, in fact, I made this entire spreadsheet laying out each gold augment we want and how much money it makes us. Gold as in gold generating, not gold the tier, okay? This spreadsheet does many things. First of which is picking out all the augments we actually want, as well as displaying the likelihood of seeing each augment in its respective tier, you know, tier 1, 2 and 3, which is all roughly 25% chance, and since you have an average of 6 rerolls per selection, including set 14's hacked augments, it means you are almost guaranteed to get an augment on this list. What are the augments on this list, you ask? To give you a summary of the past 20 minutes, there are 2 types of augments we want. Ones that generate us gold over time, and ones that give us a lump sum of gold at some point, as well as emblems like Cypher or Golden Ox for set 14, since those traits also generate you money. On that note, it's important to specify that if you receive a combat augment that you think will guarantee you a 5+ win streak, you should probably take that over an augment that gives you 1 gold. But besides that, I have made the categories of flat and time-based augments different for a reason, because the amount of gold generated depends on what round you receive an augment, right? Every match has 3 augment rounds early on. They appear on 2-1, 3-2, and 4-2, assuming you don't get an encounter that gives you an extra augment round anyway. Meaning if you get, say, the too much value augment on round 4-2, you will have made less money overall than if you've gotten the reinforcement augment, right? If all of this is far too confusing for you, don't worry, it was for me too. That's why I had to make this whole ass spreadsheet, of which is available in the description, and has a built-in calculator for you to calculate how much money you've made in your TFT match. Wow! And if you're an actual mathematician, well, please contact me and help me sort this shit out. I'll be honest, I kind of guessed half of these augments gold amounts, or just wrote them down as random, Because how the hell am I supposed to average the amount of gold earned from a random gold generating artifact, right? Am I right? Anyway, we have one final round of calculations to do. That is, figuring out how many champions your opponent buys during a match. What you see here is your average team composition, assuming everyone else is going for the meta team anyway. Teams usually consist of 8 champs, with the breakdown of each champ cost looking something like this. 1 5-1 champion, 2 4-2 champs, 1 free-2 and a free-free, same for the 2 cost, and 1 1-free, all the way in the back. Important note here, this is not the average quantity of each champion cost. And since all we want to know is what's the average amount of gold your opponent spends, the actual average amount of each champ doesn't matter. There is only one thing we care about, the forecast. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I prepped you to say the other thing, right? But no, we only care about how many forecasts your opponents buy on average. That number being 42. The only number that matters to us. Hey, Editing Bay Hamer here to add an amendment to the script that should have been there originally. Every champ cost, 1 cost, 2 costs, etc., has a different amount of champs in their shop pool. For example, there is 134 cost champions in total, which broken down means there is 10 copies of 13 4-cost champs in the shop, okay? Because yes, that's right, there's really only room for 1 3-star 4-cost. That means that 42 champs removed from this pool of 130 gives us an extra 24.4% chance to find our 4-cost. But much like the rest of this video, that's a bit misleading, and you should probably throw that number out. Because of course, not all the 7 opponents will buy that many 4-cost, right? A couple of them won't even get one before they die. In all likelihood, only 2 other people have reached their peak board. So, at the end of the game, if we have 3 people, including yourself, remaining, then the median for the amount of 4-cost removed from the pool is roughly 26 before you start rolling. Because, let's be clear, if you're doing this strat, you probably have a fair few 4-cost already, right? So your average increased odds of finding a 4-free champ is roughly now 13.7%. If you're wondering why I am assuming you'll be top 3 for this analysis, all will be revealed by the end of this video. And now that we know that, we can do our final calculations for how much gold we need for a 4-free champ on average. If we level up to 10, roll 105 times, and factor in the gold off a 4-cost, we come to 364 gold spent. Comparing that to our passive income number of 324, you'll find we actually have 40 gold equivalent left over, which is surely enough to make a defense strong enough to last us until we get a 4-free champion, right? About the end of Moneyball I was referencing earlier. Anyway, welcome back anyone who skipped past the breakdown, and just wanted to get the skinny on Team Money tactics. Do people say skinny anymore? Did I just give a bunch of people the ick again? Did I make a bunch of people skip forward in the video, only to make the same joke I made 10 minutes ago again? Yes I did. Anyhow, here's a summary for you ungrateful rats. 3-star 4-cost champions are so much stronger than any other champion, it is worth it to focus all your attention on creating any one 4-cost. It doesn't matter which. To do this, we need to get to level 10 and re-roll 105 times, meaning we need 520 gold or gold equivalent. Without any other random factors, you earn 324 gold equivalent over your average match. Pricing in random factors like augments, encounters, and hack shit in set 14 specifically, you make just enough to hold out long enough to make a 4-free champion. That was a lot of time spent talking about the theory of Team Money tactics, but isn't it about time I actually show you how it works in practice? You know, Karl Marx can talk a big game about cultural revolution, but until we start firebombing Walmarts, it's all hot air, innit? So without further ado, the montage, ladies and gentlemen and those who huff a Benjamin. Wait, I'm only silver 1? What was the point of this whole video then? Was it just a bunch of stats and numbers that get me all hyped for a strategy that doesn't even work? Wait a minute.